Today, we are going to be talking about the most requested topic recently when it comes to our home, and that is our solar setup right here. Ang daming nagtatanong sa akin, Slater, how did you set it up? Does it work only during the daytime or may batteries kayo? How does batteries work? Anong mangyayari kung may blackout? Meron ba kayong ginawa sa bahay other than the solar to make it more efficient? And most importantly, were you able to save money and was it worth it? Well, that's our topic for today. We're gonna do a complete tour of our solar setup here at the Skypod. So this is going to be a fairly detailed video, so sit back, relax, and enjoy this video. First up, we're going to be talking about our solar panels right here. We have, for this house, about 41 solar panels, and some of it ni-recycle namin from our old solar setup. We have brands from Longi, from Jinko, and a lot of the question when it comes to solar is, does it require any maintenance? Well, itong mga solar panels na to, they degrade about 1% of efficiency every year. So sabihin natin, they're running at 100% right now. 20 years from now, nandun na lang sila sa mga 80%. But for me, that's not a very big deal because when the time comes, dagdagan lang natin ng more solar panels. Maintenance-wise, you essentially just have to make sure that they're clean and nothing else from that. So a solar setup is typically very low maintenance. Another question that I get asked often is, will it be safe during typhoon? Well, number one, kailangan talaga kaya ng framing ng bahay natin. You have to ask your structural engineer that. But from talking to our solar installers, sabi nila, most of the houses, kaya naman. And ito yung ginawa nila to make sure everything stays in place. Meron tayong mga aluminum racks, and these are not bolted down to the roofing sheets. These are bolted down to the frame of your house. So it's going to be very sturdy because kumakapit siya sa buong frame ng ating bahay. All the way there, naka-frame talaga to. So this is called a solar rack, and this is where the panels are placed. Now, the number of solar panels will depend on your use case. For example, sa amin, since this is a battery-powered setup, mas maraming solar panels ang kailangan namin to make sure we feed the battery enough energy so it can still supply the home at night. And that's what we're doing right here. This is about 1/3 of our roof area. So for a one-story house, kaya na to for the entire house namin, this part of the house right here. So here's a quick tip that we did for our home para lang mas efficient yung solar natin. So mga things that are regularly running during the nighttime paminsan, nilipat namin siya into the daytime. For example, we used to run our pool filters at night. Now, we are running it during the daytime para mas magagamit niya yung potential ng sunlight natin. So another thing that helped us here at the Skypod when it comes to helping us save on the cost of our solar setup is using inverters when it comes to our air conditioning and our refrigerator. So mga main items natin dito sa bahay are using inverters. Plus, yung mga bulbs natin ay LED. So we're already saving electricity even before nag-solar tayo. So it helps a lot when it comes to reducing the size and the cost of yung solar natin. Another thing that we did to save on electricity is to put up these Panasonic DC-powered ceiling fans all around the house. Now, these fans are the sponsor for today, pero guys, ganito ang story. They gave us one to try out and I placed it in Chris's room. So, sinubukan niya. And the moment she tried it, diretso niya sinabi, let's place this in our entire house. So ngayon, lahat ng rooms sa bahay namin, meron ng ganitong fan. So what makes this Panasonic ceiling fan so special is that it has a DC motor instead of the typical AC motor, meaning it saves a lot of electricity. When you are at the bare minimum setting, so ganyan siya, yung relax lang na breeze, it's at 3 watts. 3 watts. To give you context, mas malakas pa kumain ng kuryente yung isang ilaw na LED dyan. So, that makes it very efficient. At the highest setting, it's at 27 watts only, but sobrang lakas na guys nito. So a little bit more budol when it comes to this ceiling fan. Kasi sobrang nagagamit talaga namin guys and we love it. It has this Yuragi function. At first, parang gimmicky siya because it's supposed to make it random yung speed niya. Sabi ko, hindi ko magagamit, ganyan. Pero alam mo yung electric fan na nakatutok sa'yo all the time and parang medyo mahapdi na siya sa balat. This one, mas na-eliminate niya and mas namimimic niya as if it were a real breeze sa bahay. So it automatically slows down and lalakas siya and mag-slow down ulit and lalakas ulit. So you kind of feel like it's a natural breeze from your window. Yun nga, at first, I thought, hindi ko magagamit yan. But yeah, this works well. These come in different sizes. Merong 3-blade, merong 5-blade, merong smaller blades, and merong bigger blades. But the best part about this, personally, is that it's from Panasonic, which is a trusted brand. So alam natin, safety-wise, ang dami nitong safety features, paminsan di ko na maalala. So safety-wise, this has you covered. These blades na ginagamit niya are from what's called a polypropylene fiberglass. So magaan siya, and it's not prone to rusting, especially kung may mga beach house tayo na gustong lagyan nito. And the best thing that we do to save electricity because of this is we turn on the aircon for a little bit and then right after, maybe after 2 hours, ito na yung ginagamit namin all through the night. So it saves us a bunch of electricity. Even if naka-solar kami, it still saves us a lot. So that was the ceiling fan in my room. Meron ding ceiling fan in Sevi/Chris's office. And then, meron din dito kay Scotty. Meron pa nga dito sa room namin. Check this out, guys. Feeling ko bagay na bagay dito sa room namin. That one right there. With this model, wala siyang ilaw, but I feel like it's a bigger fan. And I feel like mas bagay sa room namin because black siya with the silver trim. So, saktong-sakto. Pasensya na dito, hindi pa namin nalinis yung bahay namin. If you're interested in these Panasonic ceiling fans, whatever model that may stroke your fancy, available sila in selected Ace Hardware stores nationwide, pati na rin 500 other hardware stores around the country. And kung gusto niyo mas madali, I'll just put up a link in the description below and you can buy it from there. So our home now is, I think, about almost completely solar powered. Even yung mga aircons natin, yung mga refrigerators, yung mga ovens natin is basically solar powered even at night. And it's all because of this setup right here. Ito talaga yung heart ng ating solar system. And this is the most expensive part. So we have Huawei type inverters right here. And all of this are batteries. Ang maganda with this system, you can do a cheaper system na medyo DIY. But we chose to go for this para wala nang sakit sa ulo. If just in case this battery ay masisira, pwede nating palitan agad with another module. And it comes with, I think, a 5-year warranty. The thing lang with batteries is that although wala rin siyang masyadong maintenance, is that it has a limited lifespan. Parang cellphone natin, di ba? Nauubos yung battery after a while, hindi na masyadong nag-charge. And these are rated to last about 7 to 10 years. The most important thing kung bakit namin nilagay dito is that it should be away from very direct sunlight and it should be kept as cool as possible, especially dito sa Pilipinas. Meaning there's good airflow around it. That's why we did not place this inside the room. Okay, come here. I'll show you something more. So, mukha lang siyang simple yung setup. Solar panels, inverter, battery, and then that's it. But it's a lot more complicated to install. So dito, makikita natin all the other wirings na ginawa namin. Those are mga automatic switches. So pag may blackout, diretso kaming lilipat into the battery powered, which happens a lot, especially after Typhoon Odette. I think once a week dito sa bahay namin. I'll talk to you in detail about how our entire solar system works. When there's blackout, and anong mangyari if may blackout tapos naubos na rin yung battery natin? What would happen? Let's talk about it. Guys, pasensya na guys. Meron akong pawis dito sa gitna. Ito yung effort para ma-explain sa inyo kung ano yung solar power namin. Ha! Power sa pawis. Anyways, so there are a lot of types of solar setups. And we actually had a video for that previously. But this is how our current solar setup works. So, example that this is your home. Itong may light bulb. So, we need to feed electricity towards that. And itong plug ay naka-plug into the grid. So, Meralco, Veco, or wherever you're at in the country. This is our solar panel. This is our battery. And then, meron pa tayong generator. So, in days like this where it is warm outside, the house is powered 100% by the solar panels. And not only that, because we're not consuming everything that is powered by the solar panels, nagcha-charge din siya ng ating mga batteries. So that is how the batteries get charged. But what if sabihin natin sa gabi? So ang mangyayari dyan is that the house will now be fed by the batteries themselves. If sabihin natin may malaki kaming party, we turn on all the air conditioning and hindi na kaya ng battery na uubos namin, this will now be supplemented by the grid. So, dalawa na ang tutulong to power our home. And that is why hindi pa kami zero bill ngayon. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Slater, what if may blackout? Meaning wala na tayong power from the grid. Anong mangyayari? Well, if it's daytime and the sun is running, we'll go with solar panels pa rin and then mag-feed siya sa bahay and then pati na rin yung battery tutulong when needed. But kung wala, it's cloudy, it's nighttime, we will now be using just the batteries themselves. But there's a special setting when it comes to blackouts. Ang ginawa namin, hindi magta-turn on yung air conditioning natin throughout the entire home. And this is just our own personal preference na gusto namin essentials lang ang tatakbo during blackout because ayaw namin maubos yung battery as much as possible. That is also why sobrang effective na may ceiling fans tayo throughout the entire home. So that would mean only the essentials will be running when there's a blackout. Now, if just in case mauubos namin, it's been cloudy for so long and then blackout pa for so long, meron na tayong generator. This is the last resort. So I would imagine that we will be using this very, very rarely, but it's a good peace of mind to have a generator just in case everything else is powered down. So worst case scenario, but essentially almost a foolproof setup. So that is basically how everything works. And just to give you an example of how things are running today, during a hot day like this, ito yung mangyayari sa solar setup natin. Ito sa taas, there's a PV sign. That means our solar panel is absorbing 10.59 kilowatt of energy. And it's distributing it to our house. Merong 2.698 yung kinukonsume natin ngayon. And the rest of it, tinatapon niya dun sa battery natin. So it's charging it at a very, very fast rate because it's a very, very hot day. And even at 10:40 in the morning, meron na tayong 88% charge ng ating battery. So essentially, in a hot day like this, pwede akong mag-turn on ng extra aircon dito sa bahay and hindi pa rin kami magbabayad ng kuryente. So that's the biggest advantage of having a battery-powered system na at least meron tayong power in reserve for when we need it. So itong mga apps, usually naman pag mga magandang brands, meron naman talagang apps na mabibigay. But this one, sobrang ganda because meron siya mga charts na makikita natin kung ano yung mga nasisave natin, ano yung discharge natin, ano yung mga peso savings. So right now, from 12 midnight to 10:40 in the morning, we are able to save na 155 pesos. Ganito na lang. I'll show you our bill para makikita natin anong savings namin during the last month. Pakita ko na sa inyo yung bill namin and kung ano yung ginastos namin last month. Now, we didn't get exactly to zero because hindi pa kami nakapag-net metering. Itong net metering is, for example, a very hot day like this, nag-overproduction yung solar panels natin. Well, you can apply it to your grid provider, your power provider, and yung mga excess, pwede nating ibenta sa kanila and they will deduct that excess from your bill. Typically, they buy it at around 50% the usual rate, pero it helps a lot when it comes to this. Napaminsan, sobra-sobra kami sa kuryente on bright sunny days, but kailangan din namin ng grid power during cloudy days. So, magbabalance out siya and hopefully, we can get to close to zero as possible if ever ma-approve na yung net metering application namin. Well, anyways, ito yung bill namin for the past 3 months. So, June, we were spending about 17,000, 21,000 2 months ago, And in April, we were spending around 19,000. So average about 20,000 yung expenditures namin every month. And ito sa July, makikita natin that we're spending only 3,700 pesos. So that's a savings of around 16,000 pesos per month. So after spending on our solar panel, was it worth it? Let's compute it. Okay, so ito na. Solar setup cost reveal. Our solar setup cost us almost 2 million pesos. So itong 2 million pesos is the entire system, pati na rin yung pag-install, yung mga wires and all the accessories kasama na dun. And since we're saving 16,000 per month, that would mean we will have an ROI of just over 10 years. Now, it sounds not so efficient because we still don't have the net metering. If we get closer to zero bill because may net metering na tayo, this would mean na mababawi natin yung buong solar setup in 2 million divided by 20,000 divided by 12, 8.33 years. Again, it's not super efficient. It's sakto lang. The moment na medyo sira na yung battery mo, papalitan mo. Of course, you now only have to replace the battery. But hindi siya 100% na sulit. That is because mahal yung battery. The bulk of the cost is from the battery. If you just want to save and ROI lang ang gusto natin, you can opt to go for solar panel only. Although with that setup, hindi natin magagamit during cloudy days and nighttime and blackouts. So this one, yung priority talaga namin was to have clean energy throughout the home, meaning we don't have an environmental impact. Imagine, we're running the aircon right now and yung mga anak ko are also using their ACs in their room and it's all coming from the sun. Wala tayong environmental impact using this, and that was our #1 priority. Second priority was because palaging nagba-blackout dito sa bahay namin and we want that clean energy na nagsusupply sa bahay kahit blackout. Hindi yung galing sa generator na diesel, maingay, may amoy. This one, super quiet. You barely notice any difference. Ang mangyayari lang is mag-flicker lang siya when it switches from the grid to the battery. And that's it. So, ito yung battery status niya. This means it's almost full. Mag-circle yan pag full na siya. So, it's still around 11 a.m. and puno na yung battery natin. Ang sarap ng feeling to know that everything around the house is as environmentally friendly as possible. And not only that, protected kami from the frequent blackouts that are happening around the area. So, although hindi siya sobrang sulit, itong buong solar setup namin, I would say we are very happy with how this was done. I'll put a link to the installer down below. Engr Ronmar has been very helpful to us. So kung gusto niyo magpa-set up, I'll put his contact details down below. But I'm sure this video has raised more questions than it has answered. So put your questions down below and we'll do another update maybe a few months from now kung nakuha na ba namin yung zero bill na ambisyon natin or hindi pa rin, and kung ano pa yung mga other aspects na kailangan natin pag-usapan when it comes to solar. Solar talaga, guys, is a very broad topic and I wish I could answer it in just one video. But I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope I have answered most of the questions, and I'll see you later.